So this is, I'm going to go back to the beginning because I really felt like what you did, Maddie, and you have made so much progress. So this is what you had in the beginning, incorporating that tower. And then they said, well, for the ciders, we don't really need the tower because we want the ivory tower logo to be secondary and less important and really play up the apple with the cider. And so then you came up with this, which with the apple tree. And I thought this was a really nice, clean design with the minimal colors and spacing. But then they made some changes. So they wanted to change the name to Teacher's Pet, but then include the old ivory tower logo in there. And then add this paragraph of text. And then I sent you an edited version of the paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's, I don't know if that helped or not.
It did help, especially on the smaller size.
Okay, good. And then this is the new size. So I just kind of quickly did this comp to add this apple skin background because Louis talked about that in the meeting. I added the paragraph and then made some of the changes he had mentioned. And then added the colors that are more similar to the apple and the apple tree there. And so this is just to show how to integrate, to make sure that we're integrating all the changes that he wants. But it's definitely not a finalized design or anything. So that's the new size. What have you been working on then, Maddie? Have you been able to incorporate those changes on?
I did like a lot of different variations because I don't know.
Oh,
And
that's great. The more the better. Yeah.
I tried to choose like a green. It's like the green and the like red that is the color of like the tree at the top isn't like a true like what it would be like in real life. Oh, I don't have the actual image of the ivory tower logo, so it says I'm missing a bunch of links, but really I'm not. But I tried to choose like colors that complemented each other, and then he said like earthy colors and like that it would be with a brown bottle. So I started with this like red background because I did do some variations with like a texture, like an apple texture, like this has an apple skin underneath it. But I just didn't want it to be like super prominent because I felt like I just didn't feel like it looked good.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like I felt like it was taking away from the design.
Yeah.
So I did some where it has it. This is like a vertical version of the largest size. And instead of doing a cat's paw, I did like a cat's tail. And then I drew this original version of the tree. I drew it in InDesign, but the pen is a lot harder to use in InDesign than it is in Illustrator.
Yeah.
So this one is actually like an asset instead. Like it's a vector graphic, and I didn't know if that was okay. Because like I know we're supposed to have stuff as like a TIFF or a Photoshop file.
So is that an Illustrator asset?
Yeah, it's SVG.
Oh, okay. So but did you do it in Illustrator?
Mm-hmm.
You can just bring it in as an Illustrator file. The SVG is just a scalable vector graphic that is a web format. So you could use that for a website, but for print, it's better just to use the Illustrator file rather than to save it as SVG. So if you've saved it in Illustrator, just go ahead and place it as an Illustrator file in InDesign.
If I do that, will the background like be transparent?
Yeah, if you just bring the artwork in, so when you go to the options menu and place it into InDesign, select artwork. So you're cropping to the artwork. Okay. And then it'll just take the artwork. Sorry, my dog's going.
So I did like, I don't know, a lot of them are different sizes. So this is like a horizontal version of the larger size. And this is a horizontal version of the smaller size.
Okay.
And then this one has like the original texture on it. I don't know if you can see with this like shared.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's kind of speckled. And then this one has like the apple texture. Yeah. And then these are the original size, but vertical. And then this has like a person holding an apple in it. So like this one's just the skin, and I don't know, like I feel like you can't really tell what it is when it's like that close up. So this one's like, this is a different like background image.
I like the texture. It just gives kind of a subtle
Like
hint
here.
of it. Yeah, with the the textured one. Hey Jenna, see she's joined us. I'd love to get Jenna and Josh's opinions too, especially since they haven't seen this before. So just to kind of reiterate, they wanted to change the Cider one name to Teacher's Pet, so Maddie had to create a logo for Teacher's Pet. So Teacher's Pet is the brand name for their cider product that kind of falls under Ivory Tower. So she has to include the Ivory Tower logo plus this new logo for the cider product. And then they wanted to tie it into the Apple. Can you give Maddie some feedback, just because I'd like to hear from you since you weren't in that initial conversation with Louie about this branding name Teacher's Pet. When you look at the image, the ones that she's shown, do you make a correlation with the name Teacher's Pet with the images, the graphics that you see? Or do you have any questions that don't make sense?
Or you can go ahead.
One thing I would say is the paragraph is kind of hard to read because that typeface. But I don't think it's a bad typeface, but maybe just not for all of that text. Maybe if
I
you
need
just
to work on finding like a cursive, because I can't, like, it's just a description, so I can't make it very big. But I feel like all of the cursive typefaces like need to be large for you to read them. And then I tried like variations between like this one's bolded on like the right, but the one on the left isn't bolded. I don't know. I'm just struggling.
Yeah, it's a lot of text.
Yeah.
Try one without using a script. You know, you could, if you like the scripty feel, you could just do an italic font, or you can just try one that's not scripty at all. Just
I feel like a serif would look nice, like the title.
And then try aligning it to the left rather than justifying it, because sometimes that makes it harder to read when you justify text, just depending on the font and stuff. Use one that doesn't have a lot of contrast, because the script fonts, it has a lot of contrast in the letters, and that makes it harder to read.
Yeah, the serif definitely looks better. It's so much easier to read.
What else do y'all think though about the graphics?
For me, it took a while to connect the Teacher's Pet with like the idea of the cider, and I was also wondering what the tail was. Right off the bat, I didn't know that was like a cat tail. I actually thought it was a nose on the other one.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little confused about that. I don't know if there's a way we can clarify that at all. But
Wait,
yeah.
what was the point of the cat tail? Just for
like the top.
or...
Oh, I guess he asked if I could like try to incorporate like that like an because I didn't have the cat's tail on it originally. I just had like an apple tree at the top, and he was like try to incorporate a cat, like a cat's tail or a cat's paw with like maybe an apple in it coming from the tree. That way, like, because I don't really have space to put like a full cat, but he wanted it to have like some correlation, like possibly with like the name of the cider.
Yeah, he mentioned specifically having this cat paw coming out because he really wanted to tie it into Teacher's Pet. And when he first mentioned that to me, I didn't really get it either. But I think he really thought it would be kind of a fun. But that was why I asked, because I was really concerned that that would be confusing and that it would be too much because there's already a lot going on. But I also know that something he wanted, so I wanted to just have Maddie try it so that we could show him. But if it's not working, I think we can just take it out. Did you try doing a cat's paw, or was that difficult?
Yeah, I'm just like not the best like drawer. Like I know it's not like with my hand, but like things get lost between like my like what I'm like envisioning and like trying to like put it into shapes.
I think based on the comments, you can leave one in there with the tail, but I think we probably will want to take it out, but you can leave it in there just to show him. I really think he wanted the paw though. And I think the paw might be clearer than the tail. So we could either try to incorporate a paw or we can leave it out altogether.
I was just gonna say that I'll try to draw a paw again later.
I think for the type, it would look better if, for where it says teacher's pet, if you space it out a little bit more to make the spacing equal the teachers to the top of the line. So I think pet needs to go down a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like it's uneven.
The letting for between teachers and pet, yeah. And you had it all on one line in the landscape version, and I thought that looked better, but I know
here I felt like it was too small, like when it was vertical, but here I felt like it was fine. So I tried to move it down on these ones.
So I like the other format better with the more landscape version, but with the bigger size where you can fit teacher's pet all inside one line.
Like these ones?
Yeah, but the bigger one where it's, yes.
I think the only difference between these two was this one has the cat's tail on it, and I think this one has a longer description on the top.
Okay. Let's try to go with that format and then try some different typefaces for the description that will be easier to read. And then if you can try to add a cat's paw instead of the tail even.
I kind of like this one with the caps, but I don't know. I feel like the capital letters are like really capitalized.
The Bodoni 72 is, and I think Josh had used that for his comp too, but whenever you see 72, that means it's designed for 72 point size. It's a display font. So it's really meant to be used at 72 points. So it's meant to be used on like a display size, and it doesn't work as well in body text. So I would avoid anything that says 72. Heffler text is a good body text font. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if you tried a sans serif face to contrast, like whatever you have set in lemongrass, honey, you could try that typeface.
I think that's just Helvetica.
Helvetica is always good, but try one with a sans serif and then try one with a serif.
Okay.
And then you can present those two different versions. And you might even want to lighten lavender, lemongrass, honey even more, just to make sure it's really stands out against that dark background. Or even, you could even try teacher's pet in white or in a light color and then make lavender, lemongrass, honey darker. So you could play around with that too. And because it's a lot of text, I wouldn't center it. I would just go ahead and try aligning it to the left. I know it looks more symmetrical when you center it, but with a lot of lines of text, it's just going to be harder to read when it's centered. And then you'll probably want to open up the leading too. So I don't know, what's the type size right now? It's already at 10. So you could even try 9.5, 9.25 even, and just because you want to have more open line spacing, leading, so that you have more breathing room with a lot of text. Any other thoughts, Jenna and Josh, on this?
I feel like you should make that smaller, that text.
Even smaller?
Yeah. Just what is it right now? 9?
Yeah, it was at 9.25. This is at 9.
You could try this is
like
the light. Try regular or semi-bold.
Yeah, if you did regular and then you could do 8, I feel like. Because you're going to be holding it like close to you, you know. It's not like you have to see it from far away.
Yeah.
I think that's starting to look better.
One question I had was, is there any way we can make like a backside? Because on wine labels, there's usually like 2 sides. And I feel like at the bottom with the government warning, it gets really busy, especially with the body text. And then you go down and there's even more words. I was wondering if we can.
Yeah, like 2 separate labels.
Yeah, just to clean it up a little bit because it gets a little busy. But besides that, I mean, it looks great.
None of the samples that I have have two labels. They're all just one label because I think,
Doesn't it usually wrap around though?
yeah, they may even put these on by hand because it's a limited run. So they may not have machines put the labels on. And so that would be harder to try to put two labels on a bottle. So I think they're actually just printed on that material with the adhesive, and then they're just put on the bottles manually. Did you include the "It's all academic" slogan? If you can somehow get that in there too, because that's something that his people really wanted in there, like under the ivory tower logo.
Yeah, I can put it under here.
Yeah, and after that, I think we've pretty much met his criteria.